Hello, Keller class. It's Thursday and it's the 4th of February. And today's English is a continuation of this story, The Whistling Monster. Do you remember yesterday? Kanassa was in deep trouble, wasn't he? And you did some fantastic descriptions of the monster that Kanassa might have seen, the whistling monster. Let's have a look. So this is where we were up to. The footsteps behind him ran too. The whistling got louder. He could almost feel its breath in his ear. Kanassa fell in terror behind a banana plant and pulled its leaves around him. You see him pulling the leaves around him to try and hide. Banana plants have huge, great green leaves. You might have seen them. And he had them around him to hide like a curtain. Then he saw it. It was horrible. It was worse than anything the elders of the village had ever warned him of. It was wildly hairy, tall as a giant, with claws instead of hands, and a terrible tail which thrashed about. But worst of all was the hole in its head, and from out of the hole came the whistling sound. Ooh, that's horrible, isn't it? This is hands, which are claws, and a hole in his head where the whistling sound came out. That's quite horrible. And its tail thrashing about and horribly hairy. Was your monster hairy? Did your monster have a hole in his head where the whistling sound came out? I didn't see anyone when I read them. Kanassa shivered. Why do you think Kanassa shivered? Did he shiver because he was cold, or did he shiver because he was scared, petrified? Kanassa shook. The leaves rattled with his fear. The monster saw him. "Run, Kanassa, run!" screamed a voice inside his head. The monster followed, crashing and thundering behind him. The terrible whistling got closer and closer. "Help me, help me!" yelled Kanassa to anyone who would listen. The birds of the forest heard him. "Why should we help you? You only aim arrows at us." "I promise I never will again," pleaded Kanassa. So the birds decided to help. They flew in like a mighty wind, fluttering, pecking, scratching. Can you see them all? Fluttering, pecking and scratching. They ripped out the monster's hair and clawed his eyes. Kanassa ran and ran until he reached the river. He scrambled into his canoe and floated away. Above him, the birds wheeled like a rainbow. Wheeled means they just flew round and round. "Thank you," cried Kanassa. "No fish?" scoffed the people when he returned. "No fish," mumbled Kanassa. "But I saw the whistling monster, and I lived to tell the tale." Okay, and that's the end of that story. He lived to tell the tale. He certainly did. I wonder if the people believe him. You're going to write a conversation between Kanassa and the people of the village. Okay, and I want you to practice using your inverted commas, which you were doing on Monday, weren't you, on Purple Mash? Okay, I'm just going to very quickly show you the contents page, because I've not had anybody asking me for a story. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to read the contents, and I'd like you to message me with the one that you'd like to hear next. So one is called The Corn Maidens from Mexico, The Coming of Raven from Canada, Puss in Boots from France, The Simple Psalm Man from Finland, The Witch of the Sands from Botswana, The Paradise City from Morocco, The Birth of Krishna from India, Gulnara the Warrior from Mongolia, and Rona and the Moon from New Zealand. So which one of those would you like me to read next? Okay, now let's get back to the whistling monster, and I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you on Purple Mash our task for today. Okay, let's go. Purple Mash. Okay, so Purple Mash, here we go. And it's Thursday, English Thursday, the 4th of February. Okay. So you're writing the conversation Kanassa has with the villagers when he gets back. And it's on here again. It's non-collaborative. It's one pencil. It's only one of you doing this work. Okay. Again, you can change the size and the style. You can put an image in there. It was nice to see some people had put some images. Al Hussein put a bear in his RE when he was writing about Noah, didn't you, Al Hussein? And that was really nice. Okay, so the people are going to talk. So the first thing they say is no fish, isn't it? No fish. So that's the bit the villagers say. So we need the inverted commas. No fish, and it's a question. So we put inverted commas round and a comma afterwards. Asked the villagers. New line because it's a new speaker. No fish. Mumbled, because he's a bit mumbled, Kanassa. And but, oh, that's a full stop there, sorry. But I did see, see, no, let's have a year 3. I did encounter the whistling monster. Oh, I can't spell. Monster, I keep needing to check. I did encounter the whistling monster, and I've lived to tell the tale. And an exclamation mark, I think, there, don't you? And remember what he was like, Kanassa. Let's have, I did encounter the whistling monster, and I've lived to tell the tale. Boasted? Boasted. Kanassa. Really? Really? I might even put that in capital letters because they're so shocked. Really? Because they're all shouting it. Exclaimed. Villagers. Now, I think the villagers might need really to test Kanassa and ask him a bit more about the monster. Really, exclaimed the villagers. And what did it look like? And where did you see him? And what did you do? And how did you get away when no one else has ever got away? So this is the conversation you're going to have. Okay, so I'd like quite a bit of writing. Imagine what's happened when he gets back. Kanassa has done a lot of showing off and boasting in the past, so the villagers are really going to have to ask him some questions to make sure that he's telling the truth. I'm looking forward to reading your work later. Okay, everybody, so I will see you then, and I'll enjoy reading. And don't forget to tell me which is the next story you'd like me to read.